Hello, welcome to the part 3 of our solar system custom paint series. So in the last two videos I showed you guys how to create a simple solar system with earth and the sun. And in the part 2 I showed you how to even add moon to the earth as well. This is the part 3 of the video, and in this video we'll be creating what you're seeing right now. So if you haven't watched the part 1 and part 2, I would suggest you go watch those first, because in this video I will not be explaining the basics much. So the first thing I'm going to do is, first of all, we do have this page from the last video, so I'm going to copy this page and rename it to something different. And here I'm going to first of all change the name of our widget from Solar System Basic to Solar System Full. And after that, for this example, we do need to create a new class called Planet, and this class will be the one that take care of the state of our planet. So since we are going to have a lot of planets, it's best to use this class so that we don't have to repeat a lot of things. This planet will have few member parameters like planet name, radius, orbit radius, the color and the angle. The radius and orbit radius are self-explanatory if you have watched the last video. And the angle parameter we use for the trigonometric calculation, so then we can calculate the position of the planet. And after that, let's go to our widget, and first of all what we need to do is clean up the code. Let's remove unwanted code from the widget, and also in our custom painter remove everything from the paint method. So after removing the unwanted code, we will have this clean code with just the sun inside the paint method. And now when I hot reset, you can see that in our canvas we only have a sun, which is denoted by the yellow color. Now back in our widget class, the next thing we need to define is the planets. Making use of the planet class which we have created, we want to create a list of planets. And to begin with, let's create one planet first. And going on the order, let's create the Mercury as the first planet. Here we define the radius, orbit radius and color. And after that, we also have to create a list of animation controllers as well, because in this case we need to animate different planets differently, so they will have their own animation controllers. And that's why inside our dispose method we have to loop over all the animation controllers and dispose them individually. And now inside our init state we have to also define the list of animation controllers as well. But before going to that, we also need to define a function. This function is for creating animation controllers. We don't want to write the code many times, so that's why we are using a function here. Here we are going to create many animation controllers, and the difference between them is the duration. And it should be that same because the orbital period of different planets are different. And that's why in this function we are passing the duration as the parameter. And you can see that here we are also defining the duration by 365 days. That is because here in this example I am taking one revolution of the earth as a unit. So in that way earth will be revolving around the sun in 1 second exactly, and every other planet going forward will have a time, so that the time will be a scaled down version, but the ratio between the time period of all the planets will be the same. And now inside our planet controllers list, I'm going to call this function, and here I am passing the number 88 because the number of days it takes for the Mercury to revolve around the sun is 88 days. And after that, inside our build method, I'm going to wrap the custom paint with the animated builder. And for using the animated builder, I do have to use another controller as well, because we have planets controller for the planets, but for the sun we do need a different sun animation controller, and each will be a separate one itself. And now inside our initiate method, I'm going to initialize the sun animation controller. Here the duration will be 10 seconds. It doesn't matter that much honestly. And the upper bound for this animation will be 2 times pi. And inside our animation builder, for the animation parameter I'll be passing in this controller. So our custom paint will be rebuilt every time this sun animation controller changes. And now I'm going to our solar system full painter. I have to pass in the list of planets as a constructor parameter. And here we'll be using this list of parameter to draw the planets. Now inside our paint method, what we need to do is loop over the items in our planets list and take their parameters like radius, orbit radius, angle and color, and after that we have to define a paint for them. So I'm going to name this parameter planet paint, and I'm going to use the color of the planet for coloring the paint. And for positioning the planet, here we are going to use some trigonometry. So I'm going to say that the planet x position should be the canvas width by 2, which is basically the center position, plus the orbit radius of the current planet times the cosine of the angle. And similarly for the y position, its position should be the middle of the canvas in terms of y, plus the orbit radius of the planet times the sine of the angle. And now for drawing the orbit, I'm going to draw a light white color, and it should be only a stroke. And I'm going to draw a circle in that position. And for drawing the planet as well, I'm going to use the canvas dot draw circle method. Here the offset will be the x and y position we just calculated above, and the radius will be the planet's radius from the parameter, and the paint will be the paint that we created. And now on hot restarting, you can see that we have an error, and it is because I have created more than one animation controller, and so we should change the single ticker provider mixin to the ticker state provider mixin. And after changing that, you can see then we have both the sun and the Mercury in the image now. So let's just make the sun smaller in radius, around 30. And when we hot restart, we can now see then both are not overlapping each other. So we are cool. So far so good. And now before doing anything, we have to first of all add a status listener to our sun animation controller. And inside our add status listener, we are checking that if the animation status is completed, we want to repeat the animation from the 0 to the 2 times pi again, so that we will have a continuous animation going on. And the next step is adding another function called add repeat listener. We will be using this function to add the status listener for all the controllers we will be creating for all the planets. So why don't we make it a function, right? We can reuse it. So that's the idea behind that. And inside our, and back to our build method, inside our animator builder, what we need to do here is loop through all the planets and then set the angle of the planet as the value of the animation controller. So for each planet we will be setting their own corresponding animation controller value, and this will be the key that will be driving our animation forward. We also need to call the add repeat listener for all the animation controllers we have created. So looping through them, we had to call the method and pass in their own corresponding controller. And on hot restarting, we can see that we have an animation, and we can see the Mercury is revolving around the sun. So the next thing we have to create is add different planets, and I am just incrementally increasing their radius and their orbit radius as well. For all the planets that we create, we also need to create the corresponding controllers as well, the animation controllers. And inside the animation controller, here the numbers that I'm going to pass in may seem strange, but that is the number of days it will take for the planet to rotate around the sun. And since we are also dividing all these numbers by 365 days when we are creating the animation controller, so that the speed of all the planets will be of the same ratio as the real speed. And now when I hot restart, you can see that we have a solar system here, although the number of planets are less, but we are going to add the remaining planets as well. Now I'm going to fast forward through this video, but don't worry, since in the description I'll be posting the link to the source code as well, so you can get the code from there and see it for yourself. And finally, you can see that we have all the planets here circling the sun. Here we are not seeing the orbit because the color of the orbit and the background is same, so let me change the color. And voila, here we have our entire solar system with all the 8 planets circling the sun. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to highlight the orbit of the outer planets. So for that I'm going to change the loop so that I have the eye to use later. And here I'm going to say then if the eye is greater than 3, then I want all the remaining planets to have a highlight in their orbit. And for that I'm going to create a highlight paint which will be of yellow color for now, and with a stroke width of 2 so that it can be visible. And for drawing the highlights, we are going to use of the draw arc method of the canvas, and for the rect I'm going to use the rect dot from circle, and I'm going to pass in the center as the center of our canvas, the radius as the orbital radius, And for the draw arc method, the angle will be the angle from the planet object, and for the paint I'll be passing the paint that we created. And now you can see that we have a highlight as well, and here I'm only going to highlight the planets away from the earth. And now you can see that we have a fully functional solar system with a beautiful animation as well. And all the planet speed that you're seeing here is of the same ratio of their actual orbital period as well. And this is the last video of the solar system canvas series. If you haven't watched the first two videos, then I suggest please do watch that video as well. And now if you want to see more videos like this, then do subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more videos coming up on the custom paint alone on Flutter. And there will be more videos on other topics as well as I go on. So do keep an eye on this channel.